Okay, so we've run into a little bit of luck actually. We were heading back to base camp one of the nights and I seen a couple of wrecks sitting in a yard. So I thought, bugger it, I'll pull in, and sure enough, it was an old mate that, you know, had a whole heap of wrecks through his backyard. I've managed to secure a little bit of a deal with them to take the old girl round to his place, and he's allowing us to, you know, do some work in there. So with the part wrecks and stuff he's got, I reckon with the bits and pieces that I need to get this thing on the road ready to drive home 1,000 kilometres, pretty sure he's going to be the good luck we need. So wish me luck. Temperature's up to 95. So the engine is running okay. It's certainly not ideal what it's doing. It's coughing and spluttering every now and then when you're going up hills. It seems to be a fuel problem. The ignition system's all fixed. One of the things we have to do on this thing is the electricals on it are a little bit dodgy. Spark plug leads were pretty cactus on it. So AJ had quite a few wrecks out the back. So I've managed to find a really good set of spark plug leads that I'll put onto it. I put a brand new coil in, a brand new set of points and condenser, and that should essentially get me through any electrical problems and give us a nice running engine to get back 1,000 kilometres. So we've just driven 7 kilometres from the farm where it was located to old mate who's let us use his yard. But the problem we had was initially it was stuck in low range, which meant I could only do about 65 kilometres an hour, and that was full-blown pegging it as hard as I could go. The thing is just cooking itself. The engine's overheating. So I've managed to get so what this truck has is it's essentially a 10-speed, which is an 8-speed, which is essentially a 4-speed transmission with a 2-speed diff. So basically what that means is for heavy loads you can start in low range, then high range through each gear. I've managed now to get it into high range permanently, which is going to be fine with no load to drive it back, and it sits at about, was it roughly 80 kilometers coming back? So just coming back the 7 kilometers, it could sit comfortably at 80 kilometers an hour, which is freaking awesome. And the temperature stayed a little bit more stable, but it's just not quite where I want it to be to safely drive home 1,000 kilometers. So I'm going to try and find a radiator fan shroud for the radiator and hope that that's going to be the final icing on the cake. Alright, so the radiator, I'm a little bit concerned. It's almost holding temp now, but it's missing a fan shroud, and it's a small radiator because it's got the bigger motor that someone put in my truck at some point. So if I can find a radiator and a fan shroud for it that's the right one, that would be ideal. But if even worse comes to worse, just even a fan shroud will get me out of trouble, hopefully. Right, that's a 214 motor. She's a bit old and tatty, that thing, so we'll try and see what else we can find. Holy shit, dude. The 300 radiators are way bigger. I didn't even know that that would fit. So I found a radiator fan shroud. It's in a good condition, so I'm just gonna have to do a few racing modifications to make it fit mine. But the one thing I definitely have discovered is whoever owned my truck back in the day definitely put a bigger motor in it. But the bigger motor is meant to have a much bigger radiator. And unfortunately that's just holding temperature. So any big hills which I'll be doing driving back home, it's going to be enough to make it overheat. So hopefully this fan shroud should get us out of trouble. Right, we have a winner. Man, every hill it would boil to 105 degrees. So here I've removed the old radiator and now I'll modify the new one to fit back in. 1, 2, 3. This is 4 core, so it's actually bigger. I think it's got better cooler capacity. Hose clamp, need to get a few of these. They're all basically they're locked up, can't get them moving, so I'll get a few new ones from the local hardware in my house, support the local business. Other than that, yeah, won't know until we've got all these bits and pieces, so we'll see. Good.
Oh no,
morning.
They're back.
We are.
You're not going to try again, are you?
Absolutely. I will not stop till I conquer this. I don't have a give up personality.
Oh my goodness.
AJ's got heaps of parts that I needed last time. Now it's got the stuff that I potentially can get to fix it properly.
Oh,
Well, I crossed my fingers.
yeah.
On the card system. The larger radiator and the modified fan shroud have been fitted. The new radiator hoses, the hose clamps from the hardware, so all the racing modifications have been sorted. Now, let's just cross our fingers. This is actually going to solve our boiling problem. This thing is a monster. Check it out. So this banger has got a 653 Detroit in it. It's identical engine to what I'm putting in the old Bedford. That's starting to make me wonder if it's a little bit of overkill, because this thing is huge. That's nothing like having a bit of extra horsepower. Awesome. So the pinion seal on this diff is pissing out oil everywhere, so just because that was worn out, I decided to check the axle seals as well. And sure enough, all the brake drums are just loaded up with oil. So I'll pull all the hubs out, and I will get a new set of seals for it. Fucking dodgy bastards. Alright, wheels going back on. I've done all the axle seals, the brakes, because that was just loaded up with oil, so I've had to spend a heap of time to clean up all the brake liners and stuff. Cleaned up all the drums, so brakes are good to go. Now I just get the wheels back on, do all the brake adjustments, quickly whip the front wheels off, inspect them, just make sure everything's all right, adjust them as well, and we should have really good brakes then. Man, what an absolute mission to find axle seals for a 65-year-old truck. However, I've managed to find it all, and I've refitted the axle seals and the pinion seal. I've cleaned up all the brake assemblies and put it all back together, readjusted them. Now the wheels are back on. I just have to fit the rear tail shaft and take it for a test spin.
I'm so sorry.
That is the best feeling I've had all day. So, oh shit. Absolutely been during the team. So, got all the axle seals all completed, all the brakes done. After a lot of hiccups with when you would get up to like third and fourth gear, it would just kind of like hesitate and run like an absolute pig. And pull the fuel pump out, and I'd be like pumping it with my hand, pump's fine. So I put it back in, and sure enough, still doing the same thing. Anyway, I got another one from another wreck, and discovered that it just had a tiny little bit more throw because the lever was a little bit bent, and as soon as I put that one in, bang, just fixed it. So that's it, she's good to go. Just got to do a front brakes adjustment, steering rod, and we're good to go on a road trip for 1,000 kilometers. D-Day has arrived. Honestly don't know if we're going to make this 1,000 kilometer road trip, but before we head off on this maiden voyage, it's time to thank our way out locals, because without the cabin park for giving us a beautiful little crash box to sleep in for the nights while we're here, you know, that made such a difference. The bakery filled our tanks up every day. The local pub for giving me a few beers after, you know, all the stress during the day. That was just the best. So now it is time to hit that road, and let's see if this thing is going to make it. Oh my God.
I think